Hello everyone. Welcome to Murder Case Monday. If I'm not making any money on this channel, I may as well try and do something decent with it. Now this video will probably get demonetized because it is part of the Keep YouTube Creepy side of YouTube. Now, what I mean by all this is that whether or not you've picked up from my previous videos or not, I have a degree in forensic science and criminology, and as a result, when I look at certain cases, particularly ones that have been in the public eye, I can usually pick out when something's right and something's wrong. Now, I've always loved looking at cases and picking them apart. It's one thing we did a lot in university. It's one thing we covered a lot at university. Thank you for my academic advisor for being the one that taught me all this. Thank you very much. I won't name him, but thank you very much. He was the one that taught me how to critically look at cases. And he knows about criminal cases quite a lot because he's been involved in a few notable cases, and he's also a former police officer as well as an anthropologist who does things like mass graves and investigations into mass graves and such. This, as you probably noticed above, this is a video about the Jon Bennet Ramsey case. Now, I'm going to be as honest as I can on this. There is one part which I know for a fact, if I say the full effect of it, will get this video flagged. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably do a PG version in this, and then up in the iCard I'll probably put another video of me actually describing what the specifics of that particular thing, which I'll get to eventually, don't worry. Right, Jon Bennet Ramsey was a young girl who was born to Patsy and Jon Ramsey on August the 6th, 1990. And she was found dead early on December the 26th. Now, there is no time of death because it was before any decomposition hit, so they can only give like a 4 or 5 hour window. So it could have happened late on Christmas Day or early the day after. Now, I won't go into the specifics of the case because there's 1,000 videos on the specifics of the case. I'll just basically get down to the gist of it. All I'll say is that there is a ransom note, because I'll get through to that in a second, and there was a lot of issues from the case from the get-go. All this I will address. Right, the main evidence, there was a ransom letter, a garrote, footprints in mould in the basement as well as in snow outside, the infant Jon Bennet's clothes, and a bowl of pineapple found on the work surface in the kitchen of the house. On the clothes there was staining from body fluids from the child as well as somebody else, mainly blood, which I will get to. Obviously, basics is the woman woke up, found a ransom note on the stairs, panicked, went around the house, searched the house apparently, didn't see her, woke her husband up, panicked again. They rang the police rang the FBI. The house was full of people, both FBI, police and their friends and family. And then to get the father out of the way, the cop turned around to him and one of his friends and said, do another search of downstairs. So they went and did another search of downstairs. At which point they found her. They lifted her up, brought her upstairs, tried to revive her. She was cold, so she'd been dead for a while. And that's essentially what happened. The autopsy results found that there was a severe skull fracture with cranial cerebral trauma, which basically means, I'm not sure, I think the skull fracture was here, and your cerebellum's here. So there was brain damage to this part of the brain. There was restriction of breathing, which is otherwise known as asphyxiation, by use of a garrote, and there was also presence, and I'm probably going to butcher this pronunciation, but hyperimia. This is going to be the PG version of it. Right, well, I'll explain what it is, and then I'll give you the PG version of where it was located. This is basically, in your hand you've got blood vessels that go to clumps of cells, and you don't see them because they're embedded within the cells. Now this condition, eventually what happens is there is an excess of these blood vessels of your capillaries and stuff and such, so you get like a clump of blood vessels in areas. I will insert here probably one of the sides here, maybe. I'm going to try and use a different type of software, but let me just here what it looks like, and I'll also pop here the explanation of what it means. Now this was found at the top of your legs. That's the PGest way of me saying it. And this can be disrupted and cause bleeding by just the slightest bit of trauma, meaning knocking it or pulling your underwear up too tight. So anything like that would rupture the skin and cause some bleeding. Like I said, I will do a video up here. If you've got the stomach for it, I will pop a video up above detailing the specifics of exactly where it is located. But like I say, only watch that if you've got a good stomach for it. There was also pineapple found in the stomach's contents, which was eaten shortly before death. The hymen was intact. There was no evidence in any way, shape, size or form of rape or molestation. So no, she wasn't raped, she wasn't molested. There was none of that. There was none of that, there was none of that. Right. There was 2 spots of foreign blood found in her clothing, mainly her tights. Now, there is a possibility that there's 1,000 possibilities, but that's the main evidence that they have. The ransom letter was written in the house from items found in the house. It was 3 pages long. There was singling out of the father by asking the ransom amount was the amount he'd received as his annual bonus that year. So there is question that maybe his annual bonus might have had something to do with it. Sorry, my leg's in spasm mode. The garrote was made from supplies found in the house. It was the part of a paintbrush from the mother's painting area. I'm not sure where the wire came from. It might have come from the garage. I don't know. The bowl of pineapple had Patsy's fingerprints on it, as did the cutlery. Which it would, as she's probably the one that took them out of the dishwasher or washed them up and put them away. So they're going to have her fingerprints on them. And she lives in the house, for crying out loud. The footprints found in the basement and in the snow outside doesn't match anybody in the house. Nobody. It matches 0 people in the house, and they don't match anybody that was in the house the night before she was dead, because they had a party that night. It doesn't match anybody that was in the house that night at all. There was no evidence of rape or molestation, despite the common beliefs or misconceptions. It didn't happen. There's no evidence of it in any way, shape, size or form. Like I said, the hymen's intact. There's an explanation for why the bloodstains were in her underwear. Head injury occurred 2 to 3 hours before death, and she was lightly unconscious between the infliction of the head injury and the strangulation. And probably within that time period is when the ransom letter was written. They probably just thought that they'd knocked her unconscious, not the amount of damage that they'd actually caused. And once they actually realised how much damage they caused, they was like, well, she's going to die anyway. So that's my interpretation of this evidence. This is how I would interpret it as somebody with forensics training. She was likely stunned at some point to ensure compliance, because she did have evidence of a stun gun. I think it was here. So which wouldn't have helped the damage in that area. The main suspects were Patsy Ramsey, who was cleared in 2008 by DNA, Jon Ramsey, who was cleared in 2008 by DNA, Burke Ramsey, who was cleared in 1998 by DNA. There was also intruder theory suspects. There was also the thing. I think one of these is the guy that was the Santa at the event that Christmas, who'd had a child go missing previously. They'd all been cleared by DNA, which was Bill McReynolds, Linda Hoffman Puck, and I probably has pronounced that wrong. And then there's Michael Helgoth, who apparently committed suicide shortly after JonBennet's death, after the police said, "We are coming from you, we know who you are, and we're going to catch you." And he committed suicide not long after. He did have a pair of shoes of the same brand of the footprints, but the footprints didn't exactly match, and neither did the DNA. Now, these are the issues with the case, and the fact that there are so many astounds me. The police didn't follow all evidence and concentrated only on the family. They didn't follow the evidence that was in the basement. They didn't follow the evidence of what was written in the ransom note and how it meant that it was somebody who had an issue with John. There was incomplete searches, hence why the body wasn't found. The search that actually located the child was, I think, the third or the fourth search in the house by people, whether it was law enforcement or family. It was like the third or the fourth search, and it took like that long for the remains to be found. But why send, and another issue, why send the father when the police should have gone from room to room and searched every single room, everywhere? Evidence showing possible entry and exit the basement ignored. Now, if I can find the clip from the Dr. Phil show, the house where the incident happened, I think, was empty at one point, and he got access to the house, and a police officer actually showed how somebody could enter and exit out of the basement, out of the same area where she was found. If I can find that video, I'll link it up above. If you can find the interview that Dr. Phil did with Burke, I would definitely recommend watching it. So, the house was filled with people who had no reason to be there. There was no reason for them to even be anywhere near the house. The police should have stopped people from entering the house, except for police or FBI. End of. Evidence, even though they've been cleared, police are still pressuring John and Burke and ignoring evidence pointing in other ways. They're still saying that they need to speak to them. Come on, guys, give it up. They didn't do it. In conclusion, Patsy Ramsey. People, when they look at Patsy as a suspect, they say that she probably pushed JonBennet into pageants. We don't know. We don't know whether JonBennet wanted to do it or not, or whether it was the mother. Because I think, not 100% sure, but I think the mother was in pageants at one point. Like I said, I can't be 100% sure. But I think her mother was in pageants at one point. A speculation that she may have gotten mad over bedwetting, and also she can't be excluded as the author of the ransom note, but she can't be included either. But handwriting analysis is very, very unreliable in any shape, size, or form. Trust me, I've done it. It is so hard to do, it's unbelievable. I doubt that she hurted her daughter, purely because she daughter a little girl. Every time she spoke about JonBennet, you could feel the pain she was in. You could see the pain in her voice. You could hear the pain in her voice. You could see the pain in her eyes. And she didn't hurt her little girl. There's not a chance. She was incredibly patient with her time and again. She regaled stories of incidents that had happened where she'd wetted the bed or she'd thrown up in the car or whatever. She loved her daughter. There's not a chance she would have hurt her at all, not in the slightest. Jon Ramsey, he was cleared by evidence. There was no motive. There was no evidence, and it's highly unlikely that this particular father would kill his child. It's just not, to me, it's just not feasible at all. At all. Bert Ramsey, he was 9 years old at the time of his sister's death. He is socially awkward and doesn't show emotion publicly. Now, a lot of people would say, yeah, but a 9-year-old can't kill. There are a lot of kids that can kill. There is a case of 2 brothers who killed the father to run away with the father's friend, who was also pushing the 2 brothers into a relationship. Then there's the killers of James Bulger, who were kids at the time. And then there's Mary Bell, both British cases. There are a lot of instances of kids killing people, other kids, adults, whatever. It happens. But I don't think Bert did it at all. I really, really don't think Bert did it. To me, it doesn't make any sense for Bert to do it. There's nothing he would have gained or lost. And he stayed out of the way because he probably thought, well, the last thing I want is for me to get involved. There's also speculation that this is brought by the woman who started the investigation, who stated that she heard in the 911 call somebody saying, "What have you done? What have you done? What have you done?" I never heard that. I've listened to that recording numerous times over. I never heard that. It's like people who do EVP sessions and they want to hear something, and right. While children can kill, even 9-year-olds, and evidence points away, but all evidence points away from the family. The killer entered an this is in my opinion, by the way. This is in my opinion. While children can kill, even 9-year-olds, there is no evidence to back it up that Bert killed or the parents that are the killers. All evidence that I've seen points away from the family being the people that killed her. The killer entered and exited via the basement. Like I say, I'll link the video above. Was planning on kidnapping JonBennet, but the head injury caused too much damage, resulted in slow descent into a coma, which would have resulted in death, and did probably result in death. Stungle was probably used first to subdue her, then the head injury, and then the strangulation. While John didn't kill JonBennet, there is a possibility he knows who the killer is, but he's not consciously aware of it. He was the target of the attack that went drastically wrong. That's just my opinion. That somebody went in to kidnap JonBennet to hurt John. It backfired, and it ended up resulting in the child's death. Now, I doubt this is ever going to get solved. The case is... oh god. Let's have a look. 21 years old this year. I really don't think this case is ever going to be solved. Because the crime scene was too compromised. When John found JonBennet, he picked her up, so any evidence that was on blanket or on her was gone. The only evidence they do have is these blood samples, but they have no way of knowing when those blood samples got there. But like I say, she wasn't messed with, she wasn't abused in any way. Whether you could count the pageants as abuse is completely down to a personal interpretation. I don't like them. If I had a child, I wouldn't push them into them. It's just not who I am. But things in America are a lot different in the UK when it comes to things like that. So, but like I said, that is that. This is going to probably be a weekly series. I think the next episode is on Kelly Anthony. So, I'll probably record that later this week. Stay safe, have fun, and I will speak to you soon.